leading edge spar did not carry all the way across, so I could carry that on across.
Okay, yeah.
And built some of that up, and
so any strength that was lost was more than made up for.
Yes.
In the wing, yeah.
Yes. And then, believe it or not, I got hold of an engineer at Learjet. I'm not sure, don't remember how I got hold of him. He was very helpful. He was one of the original designers of the early version of the Lear, and he was helping me with information. He actually got all the information of the testing of the wing for me and sent it to me. And after a while, everything went fine. And then one day, I suggested I'd like to pay him. And he said, well, I don't know if that would be correct. Well, he made the mistake and went to see the company attorney.
Oh, boy.
One golf was going to be. And he called me back and said, sorry, I can't help you anymore. But if you want to call me, I can at least verbally talk to you. He got in
trouble. I bet. I was wondering how he managed to get around that. So.
But the wing had already been tested for 6.6 Gs. That's with one spar cut completely through. So I wasn't really worried about it. And of course I tested it after we flew it anyway. But I actually found the original designer of the Aerostar landing gear. And he was able, he said, I think in the basement somewhere I have, because the engineer I was using, he wanted to know what the materials were. Well, I didn't know. The guy actually found what the original materials were and everything in that landing gear for me. So, and it had then Cessna actuators to get the gear up and down. And by the way, I don't know if you know it, but Tsunami had several landing gear accidents.
Oh, yeah.
I fixed it for them. When they were, I was at Wendover when they was trying to do the speed runs, and John landed and collapsed the gear on it. And when we had it on, got it up on jacks, whatever, and I said, John, I think you need to get rid of that gear. I mean the actuator, because he used the original Aerostar. But he said, well, what would you do? And I said, well, put the same thing I have. I said, I have all the original jigs I made up, whatever, and I have a extra actuator that you can use that I gutted so you can move it without it locking and everything. And I said, I can tell you what's wrong with the gear, what you have in there. And he said, what do you think's wrong, John? Well, the torque arms on the landing gear is made like in a box. So you got a rigid box here, a rigid tie here. So you know how the gear goes back and forth. Well, the heavier airplane like that, what it was doing, the center, when it was moving, it popped it over center. There wasn't enough to hold it, and that's why the gear was collapsing. So he went ahead and put the actuators in, and that cured his gear problem. But we won't need to go any further with that. But yes, to answer your question, my concept, design all the way through, I can tell you one very interesting incident. I built a wood box, that modeled after the bottom of the wing to see if this gear was going to fit or how it would fit and all the attachments. So I put all the attachments in there, set it in there, and then had the actuator hooked up to it, and to make sure the gear would open or come out, would be up and down because the box is upside down. And I was out there on a Sunday afternoon by myself. I'd go out a lot of times in the evening or whatever and dream and whatever. And I thought, I'm going to hook the nitrogen up to that and see if I can get the gear to retract. Well, it takes quite a bit of pressure to unlock it so it would retract. So I'm standing there, and I got one hand on top, hanging on to the landing gear, because I'm going to hold it so it don't go too fast. I crank. All of a sudden, I'm on the other side of the room. It literally threw me at the heel. So then I got